Mindset of a winner woman. Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with a question. Why do some women rise above challenges, break through ceilings, and inspire generations, while others, equally talented, struggle to move forward? The answer isn't found in skills, or resources, or even intelligence. It lies in mindset, and not just any mindset, but the mindset of a winner woman. A winner woman doesn't chase success for applause or recognition. She begins with why. Her why is rooted in purpose, not ego. She wakes up not to prove others wrong, but to prove herself right, to live aligned with what she believes. That's the first shift. She leads with purpose, not pressure. You see, most people work hard hoping they'll one day feel fulfilled. But winner women flip that. They start with belief. They start with clarity. They ask themselves, what kind of impact do I want to make? Who do I want to become while I pursue my goals? Most people wake up and immediately start reacting to the world around them. Emails, deadlines, notifications, expectations. It's like stepping onto a treadmill that never slows down. And in this rush, they forget to ask the most important question, why am I doing this? But the mindset of a winner woman is different. She doesn't just react to life, she leads it, and she does that by starting with purpose, not pressure. Purpose isn't a mission statement written in a journal or pinned to a vision board. It's something much deeper. It's a reason for being. It's the anchor that holds you steady when the storms hit, and they always do. The winner woman knows that the world will constantly try to tell her who she should be. There will be pressures from culture, family, social media, and even well-meaning mentors. But she understands this fundamental truth. When you don't define your purpose, someone else will define it for you. She starts with her why because it gives her direction, and that direction creates discipline. It's easy to get pulled in 100 directions when you don't know what matters most. But when your actions align with your purpose, decision-making becomes simpler. Not easier, but simpler. You say yes to what feeds your purpose and no to what distracts from it. That's not selfish, that's clarity. Living with purpose also changes your relationship with success. When you're driven by pressure, success becomes about checking boxes and earning validation. But when you're driven by purpose, success becomes about making an impact. You no longer chase titles, status, or applause. Instead, you measure your life by the value you create, the people you help, and the legacy you build. That's what makes purpose so powerful. It turns every action, no matter how small, into something meaningful. But let's be honest. Choosing purpose over pressure is not the easy road. It often means going against the grain. It means trusting your instincts even when others doubt you. It means staying true to your values even when it costs you short-term wins. The winner woman doesn't choose this path because it's easy. She chooses it because it's right. She knows that pressure may produce quick results, but only purpose produces lasting fulfillment. And here's the beautiful part. Purpose is not a luxury reserved for the lucky few. It's available to anyone who takes the time to look inward. It doesn't have to be flashy or world-changing. Your purpose might be raising a family with love, building a business with integrity, teaching with heart, or creating art that moves people. What matters is that it's yours. Authentic, aligned, true. The mindset of a winner woman begins every day with the same quiet commitment. I will live today with intention. I will lead with why. That intention becomes her compass. It shapes how she shows up at work, how she treats others, how she talks to herself, and how she builds her life. It's not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes purpose looks like persistence. Sometimes it looks like rest. But it's always present, always guiding. So the next time you feel overwhelmed or unsure, don't just ask what you should do. Ask why you're doing it, then listen. Really listen for the answer. Because when you start with purpose, you don't just move, you move in the right direction. And that, more than anything, is the mindset of a winner. In a world obsessed with speed and noise, clarity is a rare and powerful asset. Most people operate in a constant state of motion, rushing from task to task, overwhelmed by options, distracted by comparison. They confuse activity with progress. They're busy but not necessarily moving forward. They do more but feel less fulfilled. That's the reality of chaos, and it's exactly what the winner woman chooses to rise above. Clarity is not just knowing what you want. It's knowing why it matters, what you're willing to do to get it, and what you're not willing to sacrifice along the way. The winner woman understands this. She isn't driven by randomness or urgency. She's driven by vision. She begins by defining the kind of life she wants to live and the kind of person she wants to be. That inner clarity becomes her internal compass. Here's what makes clarity so powerful. It simplifies everything. When you're clear about your direction, you stop chasing every opportunity that comes your way. You stop saying yes out of fear and start saying no out of purpose. You stop needing to impress people who aren't aligned with your values. The winner woman doesn't let popularity dilute her purpose. She knows what she stands for, and she builds around that. Her time, her energy, her decisions. But clarity doesn't just appear. It's not a switch you flip on. It's something you cultivate. It takes time, reflection, and intentional silence. The winner woman makes space for that. She isn't afraid to pause and ask herself the hard questions. What do I truly care about? What am I working toward? What does success look like to me, not to anyone else? These questions aren't distractions from progress. They're the foundation of it. Without them, effort becomes aimless. People often get lost in the chaos of ambition because they haven't done the deeper work of defining their vision. They collect goals the way others collect stamps, more for display than meaning, but the winner woman resists that temptation. Her goals are not about optics, they're about alignment. She doesn't chase trends, she creates her own path. That's what clarity gives you, the courage to walk your own road, even if it's slower, even if it's lonelier. And here's the thing about chaos, it's seductive. It gives you the illusion of importance. When your calendar is packed, when you're constantly in motion, it can feel like you matter. But movement without meaning is exhausting. That's why burnout doesn't come from working hard. It comes from working without clarity. The winner woman avoids this trap because she regularly reconnects with her core. She checks in, she realigns, she gives herself permission to recalibrate. Clarity also gives her presence. When you know who you are and what you're building, you don't need to constantly look over your shoulder. You're not comparing your timeline to someone else's highlight reel. You're not rushing your journey to match someone else's pace. You're present, and that presence makes you powerful. You listen better. You lead better. You live better. The world will always try to pull you in 1,000 directions. There will always be more to do, more to prove, more to chase. But when you have clarity, you learn to focus on what truly matters. You learn to move with intention instead of reaction. And that kind of focused energy, steady, grounded, and value-driven, is what separates those who merely survive from those who truly lead. So while others drown in chaos, the winner woman builds from clarity. And in doing so, she doesn't just succeed, she builds a life that actually means something. In today's world, hustle is glorified. We've been conditioned to believe that working late into the night, juggling multiple roles, and grinding without pause is a badge of honor. The hustle culture tells us that the harder and faster you go, the more valuable you are. But here's the truth: hustle burns out, discipline builds up. The winner woman knows this difference, and it shapes the way she approaches everything she does. Discipline is not dramatic, it's not loud, it doesn't post itself on social media or wear exhaustion like a trophy. It's quiet, consistent, and powerful. It's waking up and doing the work, even when no one is watching. Especially when no one is watching, the winner woman understands that progress is rarely about big, bold moments. It's about small, repeated choices, made day after day, that compound over time. Hustle thrives on adrenaline. It's fueled by urgency, external pressure, and a need to keep up. But adrenaline fades. It's not sustainable. And when your efforts are fueled by constant pressure, your identity becomes attached to output. You become addicted to being busy instead of being effective. The winner woman doesn't fall for that trap. She doesn't confuse motion with progress. She doesn't chase the high of the hustle. She builds momentum through structure. Discipline is doing the right thing when it's inconvenient. It's choosing the long-term win over the short-term thrill. It's showing up even when motivation is nowhere to be found. That's where real growth happens, not when things are easy, but when they're hard and you show up anyway. That's the mindset that sets her apart. She doesn't wait to feel ready. She acts because she's committed, not because she's inspired. The winner woman designs systems around her values. She doesn't rely on willpower alone. She builds environments and routines that support her goals. She plans her days, protects her energy, and prioritizes what matters most. And when distractions come, and they always do, she returns to her framework. That's the power of discipline. It keeps you grounded when life gets chaotic. It anchors you in purpose when everything else tries to pull you off course. What hustle often overlooks is sustainability. You can sprint for a while, but eventually the body, the mind, and the soul ask for rest. The winner woman listens early. She doesn't equate rest with weakness. She understands that discipline includes recovery. It includes saying no. It includes stepping back when necessary so she can step forward with clarity. That balance is not a luxury, it's a strategy. Another thing about hustle, it's reactive. It says yes to everything. It lives in survival mode, but discipline is proactive. It's strategic. It involves making tough choices, setting boundaries, and focusing on what actually moves the needle. The winner woman has the courage to say no to good things so she can say yes to the right things. That's not selfish, that's smart. There's a quiet confidence that comes with discipline. It doesn't seek approval. It doesn't need to be validated by constant activity. It trusts the process, and because of that, the winner woman moves steadily forward, even when the world around her is spinning. That's why she builds things that last. Careers, relationships, businesses, legacies. Because she builds them with intention, not impulse. In the end, hustle might win the sprint, but discipline wins the marathon. And life, especially a life of impact, is a marathon. So while others exhaust themselves chasing quick wins, the winner woman plays the long game. She builds patiently, persistently, and with purpose. Because she knows the real reward isn't speed, it's staying aligned, staying consistent, and showing up fully every single day. Failure is a word that makes most people uncomfortable. It stings, it bruises the ego, and it challenges our sense of identity. In a society that celebrates achievement and glorifies perfection, failure often feels like a personal verdict, proof that we're not enough, not smart enough, not worthy. But the winner woman doesn't see it that way. She's rewritten the narrative to her. Failure isn't the end, it's feedback, it's information, it's a stepping stone, not a stop sign. When you operate from a mindset rooted in purpose and growth, failure transforms. It becomes part of the process, not a deviation from it. The winner woman understands this deeply. She doesn't fear failure because she doesn't attach her self-worth to outcomes. Her worth is rooted in who she is, not in what she achieves. That difference allows her to take risks others avoid. It frees her to experiment, to stretch, to fall, and to rise wiser every time. Every successful woman you admire has failed, not once, not occasionally. Repeatedly. It's not the absence of failure that defines winners, it's their relationship to it. The winner woman knows she will fall short, make mistakes, and misjudge situations. But instead of hiding from those moments or letting them define her, she studies them. She asks better questions. What did this teach me? What will I do differently next time? She turns every misstep into a lesson, every detour into data. This doesn't mean failure doesn't hurt, of course it does. It can shake your confidence and challenge your convictions. But the winner woman doesn't let pain become paralysis. She lets it sharpen her focus. She doesn't rush to move past failure. She learns from it. She reflects, she adjusts, and most importantly, she doesn't quit. Because quitting means the failure becomes final, but learning means the failure becomes fuel. The truth is, if you're not failing, you're not pushing yourself. Playing safe might keep you comfortable, but it will never grow you. The winner woman doesn't live to avoid failure. She lives to evolve, and evolution requires discomfort. It requires falling, breaking, rebuilding. She knows this and embraces it. It's why she builds resilience, not by avoiding adversity, but by walking straight into it and coming out stronger. There's also a kind of quiet humility that comes from failure. It reminds you that you don't have all the answers, and that's a good thing. It keeps you curious, it keeps you grounded, it opens you to feedback from others. The winner woman doesn't pretend to know it all. She surrounds herself with people who challenge her thinking, who give her honest input, who help her see what she can't see on her own. Because feedback, whether from failure or from trusted voices, is a gift. And let's not forget, people are watching, not in a performative, pressure-filled way, but in a meaningful one. When others see a woman face failure and rise again, calmly, thoughtfully, with integrity, it gives them permission to do the same. The winner woman becomes a model not because she's flawless, but because she's resilient. Her openness about failure makes her more relatable, more human, and ultimately more influential. So while others run from failure, she walks through it. She knows it's not a reflection of who she is, but a tool to refine who she's becoming. That mindset allows her to stay in the game longer, to keep evolving, to keep growing. In the winner woman's world, failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the path that leads to it. There's a common misconception that some people are simply born stronger than others, that resilience is a personality trait you either have or you don't. But the truth is, resilience isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. The winner woman knows this. She knows strength isn't something handed to her. It's something she earns through experience, through hardship, and through conscious choice. Every time she's knocked down and chooses to rise, she's building it. Every time she keeps going when quitting would be easier, she's reinforcing it. Resilience isn't loud. It's not about putting on a brave face or pretending everything's fine. It's about being real and then moving forward anyway. It's about holding space for the pain, acknowledging the struggle, and choosing not to stay stuck in it. The winner woman doesn't bounce back because life is easier for her. She bounces back because she refuses to let difficulty define her. She's not immune to pressure. She's just learned how to process it without breaking. What makes her resilient isn't that she always knows what to do. It's that she's committed to showing up even when she doesn't. Resilience doesn't look like perfection. Sometimes it looks like tears. Sometimes it looks like slowing down. But most often, it looks like persistence. Quiet, steady, gritty persistence. The kind that doesn't get headlines or applause. The kind that keeps going anyway. In a culture obsessed with overnight success and quick results, the winner woman knows that real, meaningful growth is slow. It's layered, it's earned. She doesn't shame herself for struggling. She doesn't compare her setbacks to someone else's highlight reel. She accepts that discomfort is part of the journey. In fact, she leans into it because she understands something that many miss. Comfort doesn't build strength, persistence does. Think of it like training a muscle. You don't build strength by lifting what's easy. You build it by gradually increasing the weight. Life works the same way. Each challenge, each rejection, each loss is resistance. And each one is an opportunity to grow stronger, more grounded, more resilient. The winner woman doesn't run from resistance. She uses it. She understands that her greatest breakthroughs are often on the other side of her greatest pain. She also knows that resilience doesn't mean doing it all alone. True strength includes knowing when to reach out, when to rest, and when to ask for help. Resilience is not about self-sufficiency, it's about self-awareness. The winner woman surrounds herself with people who lift her up, not because she's weak, but because she knows community makes her stronger. She builds a network of trust, not pride. She doesn't confuse independence with isolation. There's also a deeper reason she continues on. She has a sense of purpose that pulls her forward. Purpose is what gives her resilience its roots. It's what reminds her why she started, why she matters, and why quitting isn't an option. Not because failure is shameful, but because her mission means too much. The winner woman ties her resilience to meaning. That's why she keeps going, not just for herself, but for everyone who comes after her, for everyone watching, wondering if they too can get through their hardest day. And yes, she gets tired. She has moments of doubt. But she doesn't let temporary emotion make permanent decisions. She pauses, reflects, resets, and then moves again, because to her, resilience isn't a trait. It's a habit, a choice, a belief in herself that is deeper than the noise around her. So while others wonder how she stays so strong, she quietly keeps showing up, not because it's easy, but because she's built for this, because she built herself for this. The world often tells us that success is a race, and there's only room for one at the top. It's a narrative of scarcity. If she wins, you lose. If she shines, you fade. But the winner woman doesn't buy into that story. She knows the truth. Real success is not about climbing alone. It's about lifting others as you climb. Leadership, after all, isn't about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. She understands that the climb is not just about her. Yes, she's ambitious. Yes, she sets goals and pursues them with relentless focus. But along the way, she looks around. She sees who's coming behind her and who's struggling beside her. She remembers the women who encouraged her, the mentors who took the time, the friends who believed in her when she barely believed in herself. And because of that, she feels a responsibility, a calling even to do the same for others. Lifting as you climb doesn't mean slowing down. It doesn't mean sacrificing your progress or dimming your light. It means understanding that when one woman rises, others can too. It means turning success into a shared path, not a solitary peak. The winner woman knows that true leadership is not measured by how far you go, but by how many you bring with you. That's the legacy that lasts. There's something deeply powerful about creating space for others, especially in a world that too often tells women to shrink, to compete, to stay quiet. The winner woman doesn't just make space, she holds it. She amplifies voices, she shares the table, she opens the door and keeps it open. And when needed, she builds a new table altogether, because she knows lifting others doesn't subtract from her power, it multiplies it. She listens without judgment. She shares without ego. She teaches without condescension. Her confidence is rooted in contribution, not comparison. She understands that everyone is fighting battles we don't see, and sometimes just being seen, heard, or believed in is what someone needs to keep going. That's what she offers, not just advice, but presence. Not just solutions, but support. And the truth is, lifting others lifts you too. It reminds you of your own growth. It gives your journey meaning. It connects you to something bigger than yourself. The winner woman doesn't mentor out of obligation. She does it out of gratitude, out of empathy, out of a belief that the greatest measure of strength is how you use it when you have it. This mindset doesn't end when she reaches a milestone. In fact, that's often when it begins. Because she knows that climbing is not just vertical. It's outward. It's building bridges across teams, communities, generations. It's making sure the next woman doesn't have to fight as hard for the same opportunity. It's modeling leadership that is generous, human, and lasting. And yes, sometimes she gets tired. Sometimes she's tempted to focus only on her own path. But she reminds herself, someone else's win doesn't threaten mine. We rise higher together. That shift from scarcity to abundance is what separates the winner woman from the rest. She doesn't climb for applause. She climbs for purpose, and that purpose includes lifting as she goes. So, in the end, the real power of her journey isn't just where she ends up. It's the hands she held, the voices she elevated, and the lives she changed on the way up. Because when she climbs, she carries others with her. And that, not titles, not trophies, is the true mark of a winner.